Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to yet another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday, new review day. Once again, we've got a lot for you here today on November 1st, and I want to welcome to the co-captain's chair today, Mr. Davy Gallagher from Davy's Picks and Cinema Flicks and The Monsters Den and Curse of the Collector and all that kind of stuff. We're here to do part two of our look at Rival Sons in 2023, right, Davy?
Indeed, yes. So we had Dark Fighter back in early summer. Now we've got Lightbringer. Yep, so there's Dark Fighter. And then we've got
We got the tiger representing, right?
Dark which the Tigers of Pantine's lawyers are all over these guys as we speak at the moment. But I don't know about you. I prefer the new album cover. I like the more realistic tiger design.
Yeah, I mean, I like the other one too. You want to see more of them on here, and here you get to see all of them, and it's brighter and cheerier. I will say I don't really care for the lettering on the front and the back much because it's like kind of hard to see.
I do not. I honestly at first thought, is this a mistake? Is it supposed to be empty? And then they've just put some. What is this? Yeah. I mean, it's like dark.
Yeah,
that's
kind of a miss for me, but the rest of it is fine. I
think. Which is weird because the CD is perfectly legible.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a short one too. I mean, this is 33 minutes.
33, and this wasn't exactly an epic, so they could easily have been on one disc. It's a conscious decision. I mean, I guess we can go into that once we touch on the new record, whether or not we think it could have been a double or could it have been just one record overall, or is there a reason for it? Or
yeah. Well, just to recap, we really like this one a lot. I really like it. I don't think it's as good as their prior album, but I still think it's really, really good. I'm almost wondering, Davey, we put these two together. Does it quite come close to Feral Roots? I don't know.
Yes. Now that we've had part two, I think it gives you the other piece of the jigsaw, or the other jigsaw pieces to put together. And one track in particular, which is the opening track on the new record, really ties it, which funnily enough is named for this album. It's a kind of King Crimson situation where Starless isn't on the Starless album. Well, Dark Fighter's not on Dark Fighter. Dark Fighter's on Lightbringer.
And it starts off the album, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's it feels a kind of like the Dark Fighter album. I think that's kind of the bridge between the two, sort of. I mean, Dark Fighters, to me, I remember when I first put the CD in, the beginning is not what the rest of the song is all about. The beginning's kind of like really light and bluesy and folky, and Jay's sounding great, and then all of a sudden, boom! It's like Free meets like Black Crowes, and it's bombastic, and the guitar picking by Mr. Holiday is so good. Really good song, really good opener.
Yeah, and it's got this great kind of acoustic riff at the start, and you think that sounds a bit like almost like a tritone riff, but it's acoustic. I wonder what that would sound like if it was heavy. They'll let you know in a couple of minutes' time when it really ramps up. The whole themes of light and dark are represented throughout the album as well. It's not just names of the albums that they've gone for. They've very much consciously decided to do that. So all the songs do have lights and darks in them. It's all shades and whatnot, and you really get that dark atmosphere from Dark Fighter that then bleeds into a more gentle place throughout this opening track, which is, it's funny to put the epic as the opener, but it's why I think that this does work as such a great pair, because now as a bridge piece, as the glue that holds it together, that is where you'd put the epic track. So it's a bit funny to put it as the opener on an album, but if you look at this as one kind of project, the light and dark, which funnily enough Peter Gabriel was doing at the same time. Don't know who was copying who there, but it's
does he even know who Rival Sons is? I don't know.
But he knows everything. Peter Gabriel knows all. But you're right, but it gives you everything you want from a Rival Sons opener too. So it isn't just thematically interesting. It's got this heavy riffing. Goes a little bit proggy even for a few minutes. Not prog, but proggy. We always have to add the GY, which makes it, so people don't get confused.
Yeah, this is not, yes, So
yeah, but there is parts that are a bit like Burn on it. You know, it almost goes a bit Deep Purple in places as well, with some of the keyboard work that comes in later towards the end. There's a little bit of Radiohead even in there. There's a little bit of Porcupine Tree. So yeah, it's a more modern kind of prog-y sound rather than prog, but it's heavy at the same time. It's everything that a Rival Sons fan wants from an opener. Certainly, it's a stunning way to kick off the record.
It is, and then it goes into Mercy, which here comes the fuzz, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, straight away it's got that fuzzed out sound. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and how about those big kind of like John Bonham drums on this one?
The first thing I noted was Michael's drums on this, which I think in the last record I had a few issues with the way Dave Cobb produced the drums. On this, completely different.
Yeah,
Michael's drums just set the mood the whole time. Obviously, drums are going to set the rhythm and the pace anyway, but you can hear them doing so a lot more on this. And Mercy is such a great, I want to say commercial, but it's not. They're still not crossing over. I don't understand it. This is the kind of track that should cross them over into a friendly sound.
Well, it's got a chorus that can't miss.
Yeah, yeah, it should. You know, Mercy Never Let You Down. It's short, it's catchy, it's anthemic. Yeah, like a lot of the record is, like a lot of these last couple have been. You almost have to just say after a while, oh, I give up. I apparently don't know what's commercial anymore, because if this isn't commercial, if Mercy isn't radio rock friendly, I don't know what is, to be honest. Mercy's just perfect for.
You took the words right out of my mouth, and I think before we end this review with the last song, when we talk about that, we'll revisit this whole topic again, because I agree with you. I listen to some of this stuff and I'm thinking, God, if X, Y, or Z put out something like this, it would be million selling. Yeah. But it's Rival Sons, so rock is not supposed to sell like that anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I hear, and I heard it on the previous album too, on Darkfighter. This stuff throughout this whole catalog, really. I'm like perpetually perplexed why this isn't an enormous band. Granted, they're one of the more well-known of the younger modern-day rock bands, but that doesn't really mean a hell of a lot, right? In terms of
even
sales.
then, a lot of SOT listeners and even co-captains aren't fans who you'd think would be of this sound. They just don't jam with it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think Simon and Stephen are both non-believers. If I remember
Jamie's
right.
not a fan either. Yeah,
Jamie's not a fan. So people that you would expect on paper to at least think may not be my cup of tea, but it's okay. Don't like them for whatever reason. So maybe there's something in it that we're hearing that's just not there. I don't know, but hey, so hopefully they'll get some redemption, which takes us up to track 3, doesn't it? Redemption.
Yep.
Much more of a subdued track, which I think the album needs at this point after 2 real burners to kick it off. It's a bit more of a Springsteen-like song for them. It's a lot more lyrical, a lot less intentionally anthemic, and it's much more of a story song. It sounds like it could be on the river or something. It's got quite a narrative that goes with it. It's more like, for another comparison to a modern band, something like the Gaslight anthem would make, rather than anything we'd expect from Rival Sons at this point. But for a band who often soar, who usually do have really loud parts and even their quieter songs most of the time, this is a bit mellower, a bit moodier. So it is redemption, but you feel the struggle in it. It's quite a dark song at the same time. So I wouldn't say that this, because this is Darkfighter, it's dark songs, and because this is Lightbringer, these are breezy songs or anything like that. It's really the stories within the songs that bring that message across.
Yeah, for sure. And then we go into Sweet Life, which might be my favorite song on the album. And this is a total barn burner. I just wish it was longer. It's like barely over 3 minutes long. And I'm like, I get like this kind of like late 60s, early 70s vibe. To me, it's like, so folks listening, if you can imagine T-Rex meets Creedence Clearwater Revival meets Bad Company meets Big Brother and the Holding Company. That's kind of what I get from this song. It captures that like 4-year period from like 68 to 72, and it's got a little bit of everything. It's bluesy hard rock, it's like West Coast psychedelic, it's kind of swampy, and man, the guitar tone on it is so good, and Jay's vocals are terrific. I mean, he's really, really great on this album. He's a great singer anyway, but I'm feeling like I'm getting more of him on this album than else, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I think he's one of the best singers out there today.
So when I saw them live recently, the first time I've seen them live, they did 4 out of these 6 tracks, and Sweet Life was indeed one of the ones that went really long, about 8 or 9 minutes long.
Wow, okay, that's cool. All right.
Because that's what you want from it. It's a funky track where everybody can do a little bit of soloing and everybody can jam out to it, and the audience will rock at the same time. It's a real party rocker from them, which is something you don't get on a lot of the records. It's very, as you said, it's pop rock in some places, but it's definitely rock. And you can hear that late 60s sound. I think the riff at the very start sounds a bit like Cream. And then very quickly does move into the 70s, you're right. It's almost like a little magical mystery tour of that period of classic rock, like you said. Because it feels like classic blues rock at its best throughout the track, but different kinds of blues rock. It doesn't just do one style and stay on it. It kind of moves along. It's a real workout, and it's no slouch on the record, even though I'm saying it's better live. It's certainly no slouch. As you say, it needs to be a bit longer. I think even on record, 3.5 minutes is just not enough of this.
I think 5, I would have been like, okay, that's the sweet spot. But yeah, it's basically just it's getting cooking, and you're like, that's it. No, don't stop there.
Because it's even on record, it's got sing along bits like they got the shake the bad rhythm shit. So it's got time to do sing along parts on the record. So it needs to have a bit longer just to let you get in the groove. Yeah. It's the one complaint I've got about the sequencing or the track lengths or anything. So I love the big epic start. This is the only complaint about any track lengths is this one track needs to be 2 minutes longer.
Yep. So they go from that to Before the Fire, completely different beast, right?
Which is also the title of their debut album. So they are bringing things way back rounds, 360, back to really early days thematically. Scott's guitar playing on the verses is brilliant, and it's quite a different style. And I thought, am I hearing something? Am I speaking out of turn here? Because this is a band who don't get a lot of love from a lot in our community. He sounds like the Edge from U2 on this. And I thought, okay, I better look into it and see if there's any influences, any references in interviews. In Chicago last year, almost exactly the time this was recorded, they played a show at a place called Cubby's, and they played 4 songs from Joshua Tree in one night by U2. 4 songs. And they're a band that don't really do covers live. They do the odd one. But they did 4 by U2 in that one night. So yeah, Edge is an influence on the guitar playing on that one track, I think, which I wouldn't really place that in their lineage at all. I wouldn't have said that before listening to the record, and I certainly wouldn't have thought they would cover 4 U2 songs live, but they did so last October 22nd or something, Cubby's Place or something it's called in New York. Jay's vocals are insane throughout. It's almost like you can copy and paste certain comments on every single review, on every single Rival Sons album, and Jay's vocals being perfect are one of them. It just never lets the side down. Just always hits notes that you think, how are you doing this? How do you do this live? How do you do this better live? It's absolutely sensational. But the song itself is still crunchy and it's moody. There's a great breathtaking solo about the 350 into it, something like that. And he hits this kind of falsetto. His voice goes high and then just goes higher again in that kind of Freddie Mercury way. It doesn't go that high, but in that kind of way that Freddie would make you think you can't go higher than that, Freddie, and then he just would.
He does, yeah.
Jay does it, yeah. It's quite unreal.
There's to me, there's kind of like a lush, like epicness to this track too, where I hear like a little Kashmir in spots.
Yeah,
it's to me, you mentioned the Joshua Tree, and I picked up on some U2-isms, but to me, it's almost like this weird meeting of Physical Graffiti era Zeppelin with that era U2, and it just turns into something magical all their own. It's very, very cool.
Oh, thank God you mentioned that you heard U2. I was waiting for the comments to see what the hell's he talking about. Get him off. Uh, but it's that just the guitar playing by Edge, just that distinctive guitar
Yeah,
playing.
it's just little elements. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the vocals don't sound anything like Bono. It's just there's a little feel there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then we get led into the last track, which, all right, I'm going to make it for everybody watching. I'm going to make a statement here, but just bear with me. When you listen to this song, and I've listened to it a bunch of times, the chorus, if Adele were to cover this song and turn it into a pure pop song, it would be a million-selling song.
Yes.
Trust me. Every time I hear this song, I'm thinking, that's what I hear. It sounds like Rival Sons. It sounds like Jay, but I'm like, man, if someone else sang this, preferably a female, and preferably her, and that's the first time I heard it, I thought, oh my God, this will make a killer Adele song. I love it as is, and I almost wish she wouldn't do it, just so someone on this planet can push this song so everybody can hear it and love it. What a good song. Holy, bluesy, psychedelic. His vocals are just wonderful here. Takes you on a journey.
And it's a soul song, yeah. It's a soul song, really, for them. Very soulful ballad. A redemptive song about the broken pieces fit together as that big chorus, and it just swells up, and he's singing the broken pieces fit. And we're not going to try and sing along and do that justice, because believe me, we can't. But the way that Jay sings that chorus, the broken pieces fit together, don't let yourself get too jaded, in this mosaic of laughter and tears, it just soars. And you're right, it's that kind of thing that if Adele did it at the Grammys or something, it's the kind of thing that would have people posting it and going viral on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and whatnot easily. Yeah. It's a massive. Oh, excuse me, the cops are coming back.
I mean, it says we're only here for each other. We're only here for each other.
Yeah,
only here, and that's really a plea to the whole human race. We're all here for each other, right? Yeah, the whole song is just beautiful, and just
don't let yourself get too jaded, which goes back to this, and it goes back to the start of this as well, where in this you think he's a dark fighter, as in he's a dark person and he's a fighter, but at the start of this, it turns out he's actually fighting the dark, so he's literally a dark fighter, which we find out in the opening track of this. So I think it's actually it's not a concept album, you wouldn't say that, but there's themes and there's ideas that work throughout the whole of these two records that tie these together, tie their career together. And yeah, I think I can see exactly why they put them out as two separate projects, which I'm not sure I would have if you just told me this a few months ago.
Yeah, and I almost think too, I forget exactly how long the first one was. It was longer than this, probably about 40 minutes, maybe 45, right?
Yeah, it was about 41, yeah.
Yeah, so, all of a sudden then you're pushing 75 minutes, and then everybody's, oh, it's too long of an album. I honestly, now that we have them both separately, I think they work better separately, actually. One's a sequel to the other. And I think they both have their moments of brilliance, but they're best taken separately. You could listen to them back to back for sure, but I'm kind of glad they went and did it this way. I think it works.
To our kind of rock fans, who are obviously quite a large portion of the audience, if you like a good rocker, just listen to the title track of this, but it's the first track on this. Listen to Dark Fighter itself as your kind of try me for this. But if you're in a more soulful, reflective mood, maybe a bit of an amorous mood even, then stick on the last track of this, which Mosaic is just a totally gorgeous, heartbreaking song, and it's a totally different side of Rival Sons. So for a 33-minute album, they do everything. It's not like you get shortchanged at all, even though it's just over half an hour long. I didn't feel, apart from that 3.5-minute thing, apart from that. But live, though, they played that very near the start. They played Mosaic as like the fourth song or something, and I thought, how can you play that and then play something else? That's an ender for me.
I think so. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I think maybe at some point in time, in a perfect world, a year or two or three from now, when people have fully digested this album and fully appreciate it, hopefully a song like that picks up some sort of steam where they can play that last and send everybody home happy and feeling, warm and emotional. And that's the way it should be, right? I agree. A song like that doesn't work in the first half of the set.
Yeah, because they followed it up with Feral Roots. And it was like, what? That does not work at all. I mean, it works because it's a great song followed by a great song, so it's kind of eclectic. But you're right, that needs to be the peace to all mankind and bless you all for coming out. And,
everybody get home safe type of thing.
Yeah, that's the song you want to end with. That's the message you want to leave people with.
Yeah.
But wow, I mean, what a double bill we've had from them this year. And you're right, giving them the chance to breathe. If we'd have got this as a double, we would have had the usual, I think I could take a few tracks out and I could make a 60-minute album that would be better.
I never make it to the end, and it's just too long, and
Yeah, and wouldn't that be a tragedy if they kept the same track list and people didn't make it to the end and didn't get to experience Mosaic as often? So, so giving it these two breaks, it's kind of wonderful. Although I wouldn't be too surprised if there is a super deluxe edition at some point with a live disc or something. But that's the music industry for you, isn't it?
I know, right? Well, we'll wait and see. But till then, go out and grab yourself a copy of Lightbringer. I know Davey doesn't like to rate these. I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5 star. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I'll actually give it. Overall, I'm going to give the whole project, if you will, I'll give it a 5 out of 5 because I think it's just tied together so well. I think the whole is even better than the sum of its parts.
Yep. And I think the band is really maturing. I think if you've been following them from the beginning, you listen to all their albums, this stuff is really different than their first 2 albums, which I think are great, but they've really matured as musicians and songwriters in a big way. And I think they've just adopted lots of different styles, and it's just really showing. I mean, they're a really well-rounded band at this point in time. And I think that they know what their place in music is, and they're going and they're doing it. And, fans like us, we appreciate it. So thank you, Rivals.
Yeah. And Todd has now left the band. He was their touring keyboard player. And they've not replaced him. They're just going as a 4-piece now. So they're playing parts that he used to do on keys. There's keys on this record. They're now converting those into guitar parts and things. So we're getting to hear different interpretations of old songs on the road as well. So it's a really great time to go and see them live as well.
Awesome. So for everybody watching, if you've heard this album, down in the comments below, let us know what you think of it. And if you haven't, well, go check it out and then come and report back. So I want to thank Davey once again for helping me out on this one. It was good to do this 2-parter, even though a few months apart. Davey got his copy 2 weeks before me. And he's like, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. And as soon as I got it, I'm like, all right, I got to listen to this one a bunch of times. And the good thing is it's only 33 minutes. So you can literally listen to this over and over and over again over the span of 2 days, multiple times. And it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. Davey, you want to plug anything on your channel?
No, just Davey's Flicks. So I'll always be down in the comments. Just head on over. There's a recent video with me and Pete talking Bartley James Harvest, and the usual nonsense. So.
Cool, sounds good. And Davey and I, along with the rest of the crew of Curse the Collector, will be back at you this weekend. So tune in for that. Should be Saturday evening. So stay tuned for that. We have some, I got some cool stuff to show off. So I'm sure Davey does as well. And everybody else, including Rick and Scott and Jamie. So so tune in for that. And of course, Davey will also be joining me on the Monsters Den next week. So stay tuned for that. We've got a really fun show for you guys. So don't miss that either. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already. One more time. Didn't work that time, Davey. There we go. See, it's when you don't plan it, it works out better, right? Thanks for watching this episode of What's Up with Sea and Tranquility, everybody. For Davy Gallagher, I'm Pete Pardo. See you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.